Welcome back to the channel. My name is Crawford. This is Virginia's for Lowriders. And before we get into the video today, I know I sound like a broken record, but I'm going to say it again. Thank you for all the subscribers, new, old. It's been picking up like crazy lately. Tons of lowrider guys, mini trucking guys, just all around car enthusiast people coming in, showing love. I've been getting a lot of good comments and people emailing me, and it's awesome. So thank you. Hopefully we keep on trucking the same direction. But yeah, thank you. I don't know how else to say it, but thanks. Hopefully it keeps happening. It's awesome. Yeah. Today, we're getting back on the Mazda. I'm going to add in some clips this week. I tried to get in here as much as I could. It was like 90 some odd degrees every day. I tried. It didn't always work out, but I was attempting to get out of here every day. The heat got the best of me for a couple of days, and the couch really got the best of me. That couch magnet is extremely strong. As soon as I walk in the door, just boop, and I'm out. But enough of that rambling. Been trying to get out here, and I'll add in the clips, like I was trying to say before I start rambling, because I do that. I made up the bar for the wishbone. I recorded that. I welded in the ends on the wishbone, all of the corners. Over here on the bench, I got the lower bars, welded all those guys up. I got a new jack. I'll be showing you all that. It's kind of cool looking. It's really strange. But today, we're going to be welding in the bottoms of all of the joints that we made last week. We're going to be making up a couple of these guys that go in here to fill in this here to try and brace some of that up. I went through my kitty litter bin of randomness over here and found a piece of pipe that I don't know where I set it down. Oh. Found a piece of pipe that fit this general area, and I coped the ends to where it fit in there and fits the rest of the bends and theme of the truck. It'll clear this lower tab, and I think it'll look pretty good. It'll add some strength. That way it has a ton of front to back and has a little bit of side to side. We'll be welding that in today, making up those guys, welding those in today. We're going to shorten this up and weld that together. Just today, about an hour ago, I got in the rest of my mock-up bushings for the 3-link, because if you've ever done this, you understand the pain of, if you don't have those things, pressing the bushings together and then having to take them apart to weld and putting them back in and having to take them apart to paint. It is not fun. It is a terrible thing, but you'll see in the video I actually broke the little adapter thing. It spun the threads on the inside of this, so sadly I had to weld the adapter thing onto my hole saw. So we're trying to make that work with coping the few things that I have to do just to get this guy by until I can order up a new one, because that thing's old. It has a date from like 12 years ago, and it's been through some stuff. It's not worth fixing because you can buy a Harbor Freight version for like 50 bucks now, which is ridiculous because I paid like 100 bucks for this thing back in the day. If anybody wants it, email me, and if you're in the Virginia area, I'll just give it to you and you can fix it. But enough of the back and forth rambling here. We're getting the 3-link in. I'm gonna try my best to put the airbags in it, and maybe in the next 2 days we can get this thing to go up and down. Get some instant gratification. We'll put the whole truck on the ground. That way we can at least see it back on the ground and get the satisfaction. It's hot. We can get the satisfaction of this thing being on the ground again, and we'll go from there. I think that's enough rambling. We need to get to work. I apologize again for the rambling. and hopefully we can get all of this squared away. And I think next week, I think we're going to take a break from suspension. I think we're going to possibly do a header from scratch, like making the flanges and everything. The only thing I'm not doing is making the pipe from scratch. So, yeah, that's enough rambling. Let's get to work. Thank you again to all the subscribers. Hopefully, if you're new here, you'll subscribe and go back and watch all of the old rambling that I've done. So, yeah, let's get into it. Alright, got that coked up, and it fits in there pretty good. Got both sides made up. I think that adds a little bit of looks, and definitely going to add some rigidness to that pipe, because I see in the future, if I don't add anything, that's just going to slowly bow in the center. I think this will keep everything nice and rigid to where that's not going to happen. I think today, while we're doing all of this, I'm going to go through and make up some, I know this isn't the right shape, but maybe make up some gussets of some sort in some areas, especially like through here. So something like at an angle, just to stiffen this guy up and make sure everything's as rigid as it should be, to where I have no doubt that nothing's gonna break or let loose. It's already really excessive. Like, mini trucks basically need bare bones to be okay, because they don't weigh anything. Most of the time, they wouldn't even have this bridge thing over here. There's just no cross members anywhere else. Like, from the factory, there's a bar here and the gas tank cross member, and then there's like this sheet metal thing that goes across. I figure since all of that's been removed, I gotta put something back into it. It might be excessive, but it looks cool, so that takes up for it. As I mentioned in the last video, setting up everything and getting everything square, level, plumb, pinion angles, all of that, and having some difficulties with bar lengths and stuff. Once I got it all exactly where I needed it to be, I ended up having to adjust this guy in a little further than I was okay with, because I wanted it to be slightly less than half the threads. I don't want to go, I don't necessarily like to go exactly half on these, because if you're going half and you have it adjusted out, that means that you only have a tiny bit of thread. So I try to pick where the half is and go just a little bit further than that, and that's my range. So I need to take off basically this portion that I tapered last time. I'm going to cut it off there and then retaper it, tack weld this guy, or weld this guy all the way back on, and then we can get this bar set in place. We're out here. It is the second day, Sunday. Yesterday we got that guy cut down and welded up. Made up a couple of them dudes, welded those in, which those turned out pretty good. Ended up tigging them. Like I said, that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to grind these off and TIG them. I'll probably have to run the torch across to get the rest of this. You can see it there. There is Bondo in everything on this frame. I tried to MIG weld this and it wasn't having it. So I'm going to grind the crap out of it and weld that up. I'm going to throw in that little elbow deal there. I went through and put all the bushings in the lower bars on the 4-link, so I can start bolting all that stuff up. So yeah, let's get back to work. I think we're gonna weld that in there first. That way I can lay on my back and weld everything at the same time. I don't have to do it twice. the moment of truth. It's on its own air, so it's being held up by the airbags, which it did before, but everything in the rear is new. So if you haven't seen those ones, go back and see all the terrible fabrication work that I had to remove from this truck to get to this point. But it is currently being held up by the airbags. Everything looks pretty good. The bags are sitting straight. The pinion angle looks good. So far, so good. So we're gonna lay it out and see what it looks like. I couldn't find any ball valves for the front, so I got this slow down thing I found laying around. I see a little bit of work that I'm going to have to do on clearancing this so it doesn't rub the bag when it's laid out. And I think I'm sitting on top of one of the random parking brake cables that I cut off of there because the frame's not fully touching on this side, but it's looking pretty good. Pinion angle looks good. It's way far away from everything. And like I had said in the previous videos when I was talking about the C-notches, clearancing this, and there's still ½ inch of room between the notches and the rear with this wheel setup, which I don't ever plan on going any bigger because it's going to get body dropped and there's no room in the front right now. So yeah, it's looking pretty good. You see how everything's functioning. Yeah, whatever I'm laying on up there is causing this side to be slightly up. I got a bunch of random cables and whatnot, a bunch of stuff that needs to be cut off anyway, but yeah. Bags look straight. I'm happy with it so far. Now it needs to basically, well, one thing I definitely need to do, put the fuel tank back in. I have to trim. So I did this with the old tank. Trim the corner of it off. So I have the new tank, I need to do that. And the corner has to be trimmed. I'll do a nicer job on the new one, of course, but the corner has to be trimmed to fit around this bar, which isn't a big deal. I need to order the filler neck for that. So a lot of little stuff to button up. I think that's pretty awesome progress. It's nice to see this thing on the ground. Sorry my garage isn't big enough for me to stand back and actually look at it. Frame's flat on the ground, which it was just off a little bit before I cut it up, because the previous guy, he did all this work and then he built the exhaust too low, so the exhaust touched the ground before the rest of the truck, which is kind of weird. I don't know if you can see it on this cat, but yeah, the cat actually held the truck up right there. It's weird. With that out of the way, it actually lays flat. And I got a ton of clearance between my lower mounts. Ton of clearance between those guys. I like the way this turned out. I think it actually flows with the rest of it. It's not too big and bulky. The whole cross member is big and bulky. I'm not going to say that it's not, but I'm trying to make it as, yeah, you understand. I don't want to add to it to make it be like bigger. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I'm just going to give my tubing notcher away. If you're a Virginia guy and you're willing to meet me in the Fredericksburg-ish area, I'll meet up with you and you can have it. Just email me. I'll put the email in the description. I ordered the piece to fix it. Actually, it's a little replaceable collar, so it's in working order. I'm ordering a new one. You can have that one, and hopefully it helps whoever ends up wanting it. Helps you build something cool. I don't feel like there's a need for me to keep it around if I'm going to order another one. So the piece is coming for that. It should be here tomorrow. So by the time the video is posted, whoever emails me first come, first serve, that guy gets that. Just let me know. Before I forget to mention it, I've used it like 2 times now. I'm not totally sold on this thing. I bought it because it was basically because it was cool looking. Like, I don't know. And I'm dumb, I guess. I just buy stuff judged off of how cool it looks. Only lifts to like 15. I think my old jack lifts probably another 5 or 6 inches higher than that. It's neat though. I wouldn't say that I don't recommend it, but I don't know. I haven't found its specific use yet. So I think that's overall pretty good progress. We got a lot of stuff welded, wishbone welded, brace welded, braces here, bags installed, rear ends back in. I think we need a little bit more before we call it quits on this video. I still got a little bit of daylight out there, so it means I still got a little bit of time to where I can still get this edited tonight. I do need to take a lunch break because it's like 2:30 and I haven't ate today, but I think we're gonna get the gas tank trimmed up. It's not that big of a deal cutting an ear off of it or bending it and making that fit. I think that'll be pretty good progress, because if I do that, I can go ahead and order the correct filler neck. This is all I have left from my parts truck, and it's broken. So I need to order one of these guys. I need to figure out what I'm going to use for an actual filler neck. That's a radiator hose from a 70s F-150, because when last time this was in here and my buddy owned it, I purchased the whatever I needed to make that work. I know radiator hoses aren't meant for fuel. I'm not saying that it won't last, but I'm going to try and figure out. I need to look at a factory one. I don't have any factory ones because the one that was on that truck was rotted. This one didn't even have one, so I need to see what the factory one looks like. But enough rambling. We're going to mess with that fuel tank, see if we can get that set in there. I think that'll be pretty good progress for this weekend. I got a lot of stuff done. Coming out here during the week definitely helped us get along. And hopefully it starts to get a little cooler so I can get out here every day during the week and get more progress and make these videos a little bit more interesting than me trying to jam everything into 2 days. Enough rambling. Let's get back to work and try to knock out that gas tank, since I've said that like 4 times now. Some stuff for this truck is extremely cheap. Well, again, not cheap, affordable. Reasonable. We'll go with reasonably priced. This brand new gas tank was like 90 bucks on eBay. looking that thing up on eBay, that thing's like $100 or something crazy. I don't get that. Stamped, nicely made sheet metal that looks nicer than the factory one. Cheaper than a piece of plastic? I don't know. I might end up making that out of steel just to avoid buying it. So basically, I'm gonna need to come up with something here. You can see the weld where they meet the two pieces together all the way around this. So I might bend it just to avoid damaging that weld or cutting near the weld. I think I need to get the truck aired up and try and finagle it in there somehow. Hopefully I don't regret this, but I think I'm just gonna trim it. Utilizes those two holes, so I need to avoid there. Maybe something like that. Just cut that ear off. After some persuading, the curve fits around that bar. All of the bolt holes line up now in that position. There is a ton of room between it and the ground. So basically, if you've been following along since the beginning, this guy right here is the reason for a lot of this work. If it wasn't for this guy and me being stubborn, I would just put it in the back and did a triangulated 4-link, and I probably would have been done weeks ago because there wouldn't be all of this workaround just to make this guy work. So it's in there. Justification has happened. And now I'm gonna go inside and edit this. And again, I want to thank you, all of you subscribers. Keep on subscribing. It's awesome. Thank you very, very much. And hopefully we get to that 1,000 mark, hopefully within a week or two. So I'll see you on next week's episode. We're going to be building a header from scratch. We're taking a break from the suspension. We're going to build a header from flange to flange. Flanges from scratch, everything 100% from scratch. I'll show you real quick the reasoning behind this. I'm building a stainless steel exhaust for this truck from scratch, and this header has been in there a long time and it's rusting. I could get it recoated, it's still not stainless steel. I want to complete the look of the stainless. Plus, I need to challenge myself. I've never built a header from scratch, so that's what we're doing. And we're going to do it on camera, so hopefully I get it right. Thanks again. See you next week.